Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Dr. Michael Lee here. Thank you so much for joining me for today's live about your finances. Of course, this is not about anyone else's finances because that has got nothing to do with you. This is all about you and making sure you have it all planned out. Because let me ask this question. How many of you would like to have your financial future all planned out so you never need to worry about it again? Just put me in the chat. Because if that's you, you are in the right place, because I'm just going to give you a few of my top tips in terms of what you will need to be doing, not tomorrow, not next week, not in a month, but right now, to make sure you are planned out, focused, so that you succeed in terms of your financial planning to achieve your success as well. Let me just get my notes here, just so that I don't miss any of these really important notes that I've made, and that you guys get a lot of value from today as well. So if you are watching live, please just put live into the chat, because I want to know who I'm interacting with, because we are here live, not just on Facebook, but on Twitter and also on YouTube as well, just so that I can reach as many people as possible and help as many people as possible as well. So, but if you're watching a replay, that's still okay as well, because I really value your time, actually, because you're taking time out of your day to come and watch me talk, and hopefully you get some sort of value from this live video. So thank you so much for being here, because I really appreciate your time, because time is the most valuable asset that we have in our lives. Okay, so this is where I always wanted to, I always love talking to people about finances, because a lot of people, they're stuck in this kind of treadmill or rat race of, oh yeah, I need to go to school, go to university, get a good degree, get a good job, and then I'll work 9 to 5 for the next 30, 40 years, and then I'll retire and I'll die, and that's it. I'm like, what type of life is that? Right? Because while you're working, you're tied. You're tied down to doing maybe something you don't want to do, but more importantly, you are doing it because not that you want to, but actually you need to do it, because without your job, nothing pays for your bills. And this is why it's important to make sure you have different vehicles for your financial freedom. Because a lot of people ask me, so this financial freedom you talk about, Michael, why is it so important? I says, yeah, it's important because it's for the people that want to stop trading time for money, right? But don't get me wrong, some people don't mind working, but these are the people that kind of only really want to work because they choose to, not because they have to. And this is why, yes, if you're passionate about something, go and do it, because that's probably your purpose for being on this planet. Helping more people with these certain bits of problems. And this is why, a lot of you, if you're like an entrepreneur, you're a coach, those are the people that I like helping, because by helping you help other people, whether it's coaching or in your business, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, it will make the world a better place. And my job here is just to make sure that, because you're looking after them, the question is, who's looking after you? And my job is to look after as many coaches as possible, because everyone needs to grow. And if we're not, of course, that famous saying, if we're not growing just like a plant, we are dying. So the thing is that what I wanted to do with you guys today is I wanted to go through a few strategies in terms of planning. Because a lot of you might have heard of the famous saying, if you fail to prepare to, let me know in the chat, what is it? Prepare to fail, absolutely. This is why preparing is actually a habit. And a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, Michael, but I know I need to do good habits and that, and I just don't want to change. And I'm like, yeah, habits aren't just small things. Habits is your entire life. Everything you do every single day, everything you do every single week, it's just one great big habit. And ultimately, you need to ask yourself is, whatever you're doing during the day, is it an asset or is it a liability? Just like running a business. Is it an asset or a liability? Whatever you're doing, is it benefiting? Whether it's benefiting you or benefiting other people, is it an asset? But it has to benefit you to some way, whether it's going to benefit you financially, it's going to benefit your health, or it's going to benefit a relationship. It has to benefit you first. Because if it doesn't benefit you, the chances are it's going to make you suffer. So I want you to make sure it benefits you first. But then it can also benefit other people later as well. So make sure, yes, your habits, and this comes out of planning, you create a good habit for planning so that it becomes an asset. So great. So the question a lot of people ask me, so what do I need to do to make sure I'm planning well for my finances? Well, the simple way is this. If you want a simple formula, just ask yourself this. When you get to, say, retirement age, right? And I need to be honest with you. It's inevitable we will get old. And as we get older, depending on how well we've looked after our bodies in our younger years, whether it's in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, by the time we get to our 60s, 70s, and 80s, that will be a product of how well we've looked after ourselves prior to that. All right? So you need to be thinking in your 60s, all the way, because some of us will live to our 100, right? So it's 40 years essentially. How much money do you need? How much money do you need to not only survive, to be happy, to have fun, to have experiences, to do the things you want to do? You need to calculate that, and you think if 40 years is too big of a time frame, that's fine. You just do it in 1 year. How much money do you need if you're not working? Do you need, right? How much money do you need? And once you've got that, times it by 40. And now you're going to be thinking, that's a big number, Michael. I'm like, yeah, it is a big number. And do you know why it's a big number? Because I'm just being real with you. That's how much you have to get to make sure that you don't need to worry about money over that time frame. And if you're not prepared for it, guess what will happen? When you run out of money, which you will, you'll suffer. And if you wanted to suffer, that's okay. But if you're going to suffer, do you want to suffer when you're young or do you want to suffer when you're old? I'll take young every time. At least I've had the strength in my body to get myself out of it. But when I'm old and suffering, yeah, it's a different ballgame. Because it's true helplessness. Because the truth of the matter is, when people get old, all their friends and their family, they're dying too. So actually it becomes very lonely. When people get older, and not people realize is that they run out of friends. They run out of family members around their own generation at least, because they're all dying at that age. So this is why it's important to make sure that you have all the finances to make sure you're happy so you can still maintain your mobility, your independence, your freedom to do what you want. But you have that magic number, and it may be $1 million over 40 years. It may be 2 million, maybe 3 million, maybe 4 million, maybe 5 million. I'll probably say it's a minimum of $1 million. Minimum. And that's pretty much the bread line. I call it the bread line. But if you want to be really happy and free, you probably have to be aiming 5 times that minimum as well. So it's like 5 million in terms of what you need to have that freedom. So you're probably thinking, what am I going to do to get that? Well, that's the beauty of life. From your 20s until your 60s, maybe 65, you have to accumulate that amount, right? And some of you will be faster than others, but some of you will be slower. But you have to accumulate that amount, because if you don't, you could say the last 35 to 40 years at risk of suffering. So the question a lot of people say, so what do I need to do? What do you need to plan? First thing you need to do is you need seven streams of income. And that's a simple rule of wealth. If you don't have 7 different vehicles of income, you will not become financially free. And the sooner you start, the better. And you have to start. You have to start quickly. And you need to learn before you earn. If you don't learn, if you learn late, you've wasted a lot of time when you could actually be earning from those passive income streams. Because remember, passive income is when you trade money to gain you more money. But a lot of people who do active income, they trade time for money. You remember, time runs out. Money does not. Money is renewable. You can spend to get a coach. You can buy speed through mentoring. You can buy speed through coaching. And if you can do that, that's one of the things I would say. If you want to prepare, if you want to learn whether it's like real estate, whether it is stocks and shares, whether it's in business, whether it's coaching, whether it's teaching, whether it's crypto, whether it's NFTs, whether it's the list goes on, whether it's gold, the list goes on. You need to have a mentor, right? Because the mentor will essentially get you to where you need to get to faster than if you did it yourself. But you need to find the right person that you can connect with. So in terms of preparing, yeah, you know the number now. The question is that how long is it going to take me to get that number? And am I going to do it by myself, or am I going to find a mentor? My recommendation is everything that I work in, I have a mentor for it, because they keep me doing what I'm supposed to be doing, hold me accountable to move forward and move forward quickly to that goal. So that's the first thing you need to do for preparing. The second thing you need to do, of course, once you've got that number, you kind of need to break it down into years, because you know how much it is per year. So maybe it's like, I need to have after that I need, I don't know, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand a year to survive, right? And if you've got that, so it's 50 grand. Let me do the math. Okay. Yeah. So it's 50 grand. So it's 50 grand a year. If it's over 40 years, 2 million. Okay. So it's 50 grand. Think, okay, I need to be earning an extra 50,000 a year if I'm starting at the age of, let's say, 20. Because 20 to 60 is 40 years, right? Then 60 to 100 is 40 years. So you kind of think I should be earning about an extra 50 grand per year to cover my later years of life. And if you don't actually have those passive income streams of getting an extra 50 grand per year, then yeah, there's going to be a problem. And I'm really hoping, I'm not saying this to shock you, I'm just saying that logically, if you do the maths, this is what needs to happen. If you can create 50,000, or if you're a partner, it'll be 100,000 now. So I'm even making the stakes even higher. 100,000 a year to make sure that you're both comfortable for end of life, right? But you need to plan it financially, how you're going to get it. And there's lots of different ways. So how I always do it is I work backwards, right? And how I look at the big picture, then I break it into smaller pieces and work backwards, right? And if you can do it that way, say, okay, now I know I've got 40 years, right? What am I going to achieve for year one? What am I going to do there? What am I going to achieve for year two, year three, year four? What am I going to be doing? How am I going to be growing this business, or growing these stocks and shares, or growing my coaching business, or how am I going to be getting more real estate to be generating passive income? If you can do that, great. But you need to be thinking about preparing for it and then execution, because remember, learning from someone is knowledge. The true power with what you know is actually the execution of what you know. But you have to execute. You have to execute. Because if you don't execute, yes, later on you'll suffer. And you know, the reason I wanted to do this live today is I was actually thinking about this. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I've been through a tough time lately with my mother and that, and I'm like, now she's gone, and she died at 65. Do I have enough at least to get to 65? And I'm like, yeah, I have enough for 65, that's fine. But I'm like, if I live longer, do I have enough? And I'm like, yeah, I have enough. And the thing is, because I've planned. But I know a lot of people don't plan because humans are not proactive, we're very much reactive. And I want to make sure all of you are proactive in what you do, because if you're proactive, then you'll succeed. But I cannot do this for you, of course. I only can plan this for you. So one of the first exercises I want you to do right now is think about all of the possible passive income streams you could be investing money into right now. Okay, or how you can be investing money into right now. Write them down, and then once you've written them down, the most critical step is now. What do you need to do to start it? I need to write that down. And some of you may have already started. And if you already started, just after this question, now I've started it, what's the next step that I need to do to grow it? Because then once you get clarity on that, then you know what you need to do, and then you have to set a deadline for when you're going to get it done by. Because now we think once it's done, guess what? You see what the next step is, and the next step is, and the next step, and the next step. And then with each step that's completed, you take one step closer to your ultimate goal. But general rule of thumb is that I generally say to people is, look, whatever goal you have, whether it's 2 million, 5 million, you need to ideally put a 0 at the end. Because if you push for, say, 20 million, at least that's your goal. And when you're pushing for it, yeah, you may not get to 20 million. But as you're pushing, you'll definitely get to a minimum of 2 million. And then you would have got the very minimum at least. But it's all about your mind. That famous saying, a lot of people, they set these goals that are only as high as their ceiling, right? And they kind of think, oh, why am I not further in life? Because their goals are so small. They're not seeing the big picture. And the famous saying is, if you at least aim for the stars, at least you'll hit the moon, right? You push yourself further than your ceiling because you've set the goal to be bigger than you. And if you set that goal, and it's about goal setting here, if you set that goal, you will have a higher chance of succeeding than those that set small goals. Because remember, you need to do this for you and your family, you and your loved ones. Because I remember I was about 10 years ago, I was thinking about, oh yeah, I need to get financial freedom. And yeah, I got financial freedom. But then I was thinking, the least I can do for my children is actually get financial freedom for them too. Because at least I've got the knowledge. The worst thing I could do is take all my knowledge to the grave. And then no one knows, or my children certainly don't know how to do it. And this is why it's so important to make sure that we pass on our knowledge to our loved ones too. So that because they're automatically part of the journey. And, even if they like it or not, they still need to participate, whether by gaining financial freedom or participate by not gaining financial freedom. However they're doing it, they're still playing in this game or playing in this journey. So it's about making sure you get them on board. Get them on board so that you can help them and then you can live a healthier and happier life together doing the things that you love to. Okay, so I'm digressing a little bit. So I need to get back to the preparing and the planning. Okay, so now you've got all these income streams, and now you've written down all the first steps. The next thing I want you to do is now you need to choose one. How many? One. The one that you're going to focus on now. All right? You're going to focus and you're going to do due diligence on actually, okay, what do I need to do to get this started? All right, and you're going to get all the resources. Maybe to set up certain accounts, maybe you go to the bank, maybe to learn certain things, maybe to find the right mentor. Do your due diligence for that. Because once you've got it, do it. Okay? You have to do it. And if you want me to hold you accountable, write down in the chat now what you're going to be focused on. What's that number one thing you're going to be focusing on? Which vehicle? What's the step? So that I can hold you account. And I know that you're actually doing it too. Because if you're doing it, then great. Then I know you're moving forwards. Because if you're not doing it, this is what happens. When you do nothing, nothing happens. And that's why I want to make sure that every one of you are doing the right thing for you, and your why is big enough that actually you're doing it for your loved ones too. So so make sure, write it down, put it in, let it out to the universe, and once the universe follows, hears you, it will then teach you. Because it always does. Every day is a learning day, and it'll teach you something new. Great. So once you've got that, and then you know that you have the rough knowledge of how the system works for that vehicle, guess what you do then? You go on vehicle number 2. Then you go through the same process. Then you go to vehicle 3, then 4, then all the way to 7, right? But you can't think, what do you do after when you've got the rough system? After the rough system is you need to think of, what do I need to do to go deep in this? And I'm not saying toying around and messing around, because remember, when it comes down to financial freedom, or anything in life, actually succeeding anything in life, you do need to separate the amateurs and the champions, the boys from the men, and the girls from the women. It's the people that take it seriously. Because the people that don't take it seriously, they kind of, I call it dabble. I do a little bit here, a little bit there. They don't actually make it part of their lifestyle. Because if it's important to you, it will be in your diary and you will be doing it every single day, right? Even if it's a little bit, because you care about it. The people don't care, they don't do. And this is why it's part of your lifestyle. I want to make sure that these are the habits for your life. Because remember, lifestyle is just another word for habits. And I want to make sure that you have these habits to then create the things or the opportunities for you to experience and do. Okay? So if that makes sense, put yes in the chat, because I want to make sure that you guys are on the same page as me. Great. So the thing is that, what do we do after that? Let me have a look at my notes on here. So yeah, this is what's really important. After that, when you've completed your in-depth portion of the learning, guess what? Because you've got this knowledge now, guess what you can do? You can now teach. And then you can teach other people what you learn or what you know. And guess what? That then creates another income stream. And when you get another income stream, this is how I always do it: learn, do, and then get money. And then if you really understand it, you can teach. And then go and teach. And once you've been teaching it, record what you teach, sell it. Sell it, reach out to lots of people, and then you're going to be making even more money from it. Sell what you know. The educational business right now is how many $1 trillion a year? It's ridiculous. And it's all about people wanting to know. But ultimately, it's about, are you a person that people can relate with? Are you a person that people can connect to? Are you a person that people even like? And if you are, they'll listen. Because ultimately, people don't learn things because they like the topic. And just think back. Think back when you're at school. Your favorite subject at school. Think about it. What is it? Just think. Just put it into your mind. You know what it was. And now let me ask you this question. Was it also because it was your favorite teacher? It was, right? Yeah. Because your favorite teacher created the experience for you to learn. And this is why knowing the right person that you get on with, the person you connect with, the person that you can relate with, is so important. And this is why when I'm connecting with people, I'm just like, look, I just want to be very honest with you. I've got nothing to gain by lying. I actually say, look, this is how it is from my experience, and this is how I want to help you. Because I just want to make sure that from one person at a time in this world, by improving their life, it can improve the lives of many. And it always starts with one person. So as we move on to getting all these different strategies of impacting and getting there quickly, of course, not only do you need a mentor, you need a support group. And when it comes down to a support group, this isn't like, oh yeah, these people we're going to go out with and go for a party and that. These are the people that they have the same goal as you. So when we talk about like-minded people a lot, because you hear it in people say, oh, you'll be part of like-minded people. We don't really understand what it means. Like-minded people are the people that are where you are in your journey and have exactly the same goal as what you want. When it's like-minded, guess what? When you have a question, they probably have the same question. And if they have the same question, guess who they will probably ask? The people that are probably a few steps ahead of them. Whether it's the mentor, whether it's other colleagues in the support group. But the support group, the whole purpose of support is this, right? Is this. To make sure you don't fall down. So supporting the support group keeps people moving up, keep growing, right? But guess what mentorship is? And coaching. Coaching gives the knowledge so that you can then take the step to take the next part in your journey. So you need someone to give you the opportunity to climb up, but also you need the people below you to keep you going. And then guess what? With that formula, you will always win. But you need to make a choice. Choose the right people that serve you well. The people that you can connect with well, the people that think like you, the people that are part of the same groups as you, the people that also want the same things as you. If you can find that, then you're already going to win. Because remember, if you want to get somewhere fast, do it alone. If you want to get somewhere far, do it with a team. And your team can be the support group as well. So this is why I really hope that this is actually really helpful for you guys. If it's helpful for you guys so far and you're understanding, just put yes into the chat. And because I know a lot of you guys watching here now, you guys, some of you are probably thinking, yeah, I wish I had more money. I've tried lots of things, hasn't really worked. And, I wish I was a bit further along in life. Do you know what that is? I asked you a simple question. What have you learned? Every experience in life teaches a lesson. And the question is, that experience alone will teach you a lesson. And the lesson could be, maybe I didn't have the right coach. Maybe I didn't have the right support group. Maybe I didn't even start the vehicle the right way. But there'll be something that will teach you. But ultimately it comes down to, if you truly learn from it, that problem will not happen again. But only if you really want to learn, you would then implement what you've learned, right? You do what you've learned. You make sure that mistake wasn't made again. And then, because I get it. Some people that I coach, they're like, oh yeah, Michael, you know so much about these topics, all right? And then they ask me a question, and I'm like, I'm not too sure about that, but I'll tell you what, I'll send you on to my mentor, and they'll tell you. Because they understand the topic on a deeper level than I am. Because, I have a lot of students that, if they're doing like passive income streams, some of them, I can only speak from where I am in those vehicles. Some of them surpass me. They go, hey, do you know on stocks and shares, Michael, I made $1 million last year. I'm like, wow, you made $1 million in a year? I says, yeah. Well, I'm not making $1 million. I'm making a little bit less than that. Well, maybe you need to learn from someone else now, because I can only give you the information of what I know. And if you want to make it into 10 million a year, you need to do this. You need to go and see them, because that's what they're doing. Only see the people that essentially they can show you their results. If they cannot show you results, it's probably because they don't have any, and don't have the credibility either. So these are the take-home message for you today, is this. First, you need to have a number in your mind. You need to break it down, how much money you need per year, ideally after the age of 60. And if we're going to live to 100, times it by 40, because 40 years, right? And once you've got that, now you think about, how am I going to earn more income per year now, so that, because chances are people when they're 60, they may not have a job, right? How can I earn now to cover that expense? And then write down 7 different passive income vehicles that you would be interested in. And once you've got the 7, think about what would be the first step, or who do you need to go to learn those things. And then choose one. Focus on one for the first month and set up the systems. Because the beginning is always the hardest. And there's a famous saying that it only takes 20 hours to learn a skill. But with some people, it takes them a whole lifetime just to even start hour 1, because they procrastinate. But it only takes 20 hours, it doesn't take long. It's just about setting up the system. Set up the system. Once you set the system, then it should be a lot easier. And then move on to the next vehicle, then the next vehicle, then the next vehicle. But it's making sure that you guys are clear in terms of what you need to do. Because once you have these seven vehicles up and running, you have that opportunity to then become financially free and never worry about money again. And if that's something you'd like, put me in the chat. But if you also like some ideas, put some questions in the chat. I'm happy to help you. And then we can do this together. And then we can actually make sure that you are on the right track, making the right steps to become financially free too. So thank you so much for joining me today on today's live. I've really enjoyed, telling you a few stories, but also telling you how it is. just being honest. And, a lot of people don't really prepare for these things. They're very reactive rather than proactive. So be proactive. Do what you love the most, and prepare for what you want in the future, because no one's going to do it for you. That's going to be my take-home message for you. And if you have questions, let me know. On that, have a great Friday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you next Friday for next Facebook Live. Bye for now.